Hi everybody, I'm Jason from Continuous Technologies, and I'm going to show you how to install deltaTest. Just to set the stage, deltaTest is an open source, universal, PowerShell-based unit testing platform that is suitable for use in just about any data management context. deltaTest is in fact the only test platform that could make that last claim, and it enables full-fledged test-driven development and automated regression testing, even on data management platforms like Market EDM that are intrinsically hard to test. That's a game changer for data management teams. Anyway, the purpose of this video is to get you from zero to a first install and a successful test run. So let's get started. First, we need to set the stage. As a developer, I usually have local administrator permissions on my machine. That makes a lot of this easy. If you can't get that level of local permissions, then you still need to accomplish the same steps you'll see here, but you might have to jump through some extra hoops. Your local sysadmin should be able to help you out. The deltaTest code repository resides at GitHub, and the first step in the installation process is easy. Clone the repo to a network drive shared by your development team. But in order to do that, you'll have to have Git installed on your local machine. And the easiest way to do that is to head over to gitforwindows.org and hit the download button. I'll put the link in the notes, and for now, let's just assume that you have Git installed. So deltaTest is best used in a shared context. That means a couple of things. One, it means that when you run a test, the test calls code that lives in a location shared by the entire team, here. So upgrades are easy. You only have to do them in one place. This shared location also hosts settings that are specific to your project, say network data file drop locations, but also might differ across environments, from dev to test to UAT and so on. The way we set that up is to clone the deltaTest GitHub repo to the project's network share. Here's the top level of our demo project's network share. I'm just going to clone the repo right here. To do that, I'll go to the repo and copy the web URL. Then I'll right-click on my file share and open up a git bash prompt. From here, cloning is easy. Just type git clone and paste in your repo URL. Boom. There it is. And you can see the new directory right here. So let's close our bash window and then go take a look. Now remember, deltaTest is PowerShell based. In fact, every test and configuration file is expressed as a short PowerShell script. But PowerShell is usually locked down pretty tight by default, even with your local admin permissions. So we probably need to loosen up local execution policy. Also, because your core scripts, the deltaTest code base, were downloaded from the internet, many environments will block the files, preventing them from being run as scripts without manual confirmation. If we want to automate testing, that's no help to us at all. We can handle both of these issues with just a few steps. First, go to your network deltaTest clone directory and copy its path. That's this one right here. Copy. Next, bring up a PowerShell command prompt with admin privileges. Yes, even though you're already a local admin. Type cd and paste in the path and hit return. That sets your operating directory to the deltaTest repo. And then finally, run this command, /unblock.ps1, which, by the way, is that script. So run that, and there you go. So what we've done is we've set your execution policy to unrestricted, and all your repo files are unblocked. So we can close that command prompt now. The next thing we have to do is to create a shared configuration script. Now, this is the script that contains all the settings specific to your development and testing environments, which are shared across your team. These are documented extensively in the wiki, and you don't really need to care about the contents for now. We just need the script to exist so we can run the installer. you'll see a template here. Just make a copy and call it config.ps1. So there's the copy, and then I'm just going to change the name to config.ps1. There we go. Now we're ready. Jump into the install directory and double-click the install shortcut right there. So the first thing that happens is that the script elevates itself to administrative privileges. We'll let that happen, and then it's going to start performing some checks. So deltaTest requires that PowerShell to be updated at least to a major version of 3. The current major version is 5, so this is rarely going to be a problem. Now the unblocked script already set our execution policy to unrestricted, so no problem there either. Now deltaTest depends on a Microsoft-developed PowerShell module called SQL Server. It's a replacement to the old SQL command. It was already installed here, but if not, PowerShell will download and install it with some manual confirmations along the way. The installer will then write the current module location, wherever you put it, to your Windows registry and prompt you for further configuration details. Now, each one of these has a default value. See right here? To accept the default, just hit return. And note that you'll also run the installer to change your configuration. For example, to start running your tests in a different environment. So in that case, the prompts here in the installer will default to whatever the current value is. In other words, from the last time that you ran it. So the first configuration indicates whether tests should run silently with no user interaction. And this is appropriate if a machine is under use by a test agent performing automated regression testing, but this time around we're going to invoke tests manually. So we'll just leave it out and set it, leave it set to its default of no. The second config item designates the active environment. This must be one of the values enumerated in the config.ps1 script we created earlier. The default happens to be one of those, so we'll accept it. The third config captures the location of my local market EDM command line executable, the assumption being that I'm going to be testing market EDM solutions. I might be later, but for the purposes of this Hello World test, no market EDM solutions will be disturbed. Finally, and this is only if we answered no to the no input question, the installer checks to see if I have the open source text differencing engine WinMerge installed locally. In this case, I already do. If I did not, the WinMerge installer would run. And that's it. deltaTest is now installed locally and on the network share, and we're ready to run a test. And we have just the test to run. Here, let's let that go away. Yeah. So let's pop up to our main deltaTest repo directory, and then down into our test directory. This folder contains some sample tests to get you started, and also our Hello World test. Now, before we run it, let's edit it and have a look. There's really not much to see, is there? That's the beauty of deltaTest. The tests are very declarative and easy to understand, even if you don't know PowerShell. Well, maybe except for that first line. This is the line that locates the deltaTest module way out on the network share and loads it. That exact line will be at the top of every test you write. And what it actually does is run your shared config ps1 script. The second line, or at least the second non-comment line, just displays hello world. But it does so with a deltaTest specific function. So if the module load fails, no hello world. Let's give it a try. We'll close the editor, right-click on hello world.ps1, and select Run with PowerShell. Voila, we're in business. Okay, so today you learned the following skills: how to install deltaTest in your shared environment, how to prepare your local machine to accept the deltaTest installation, how to perform the local installation, and how to execute a test. Next time, I'll show you how to author and execute a non-trivial test against an actual, in parentheses for our lawyers, simulated market EDM solution operating against real market data. Meanwhile, thanks for watching, and please don't hesitate to contact us with any questions about how to use deltaTest or how to get involved in the project.